Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for coming. I hope you have time to hear my story. I grew up in the Philippines with a father who's had served the U.S. military, a U.S. Navy dad. I've never been with my father for a long time since he's based here in the United States. And every time he comes home, it's not a good scene. Every time that my father thinks that I'm showing any kind of gayness, quote unquote, he would point a gun in my head and actually pull the trigger with one bullet in it. I'm sorry. Growing up, I think, why did I survive? Why didn't I die? I cannot stand this torment anymore. I've been bullied in school every day. I've been bullied by my dad, by my friends, every single day. And that's just around 9 years old. At the age of 12, I've been gang raped by my friends because they said that's what I wanted. That is my everyday life growing up, being tormented by my family and my friends and my community. If this is a choice, why would I choose this horrible, horrible life every single day? It is not a choice. This is who I am. Gay is a part of me. It doesn't describe me as a person. And I hope that my story reach out to everybody's heart. I cannot say anything anymore. Look where I'm at now. After my father died, I have learned to forgive my father, but I've never forget what he did. Thank you very much. Now we're going into our special guest. Our very first special guest is from San Francisco, California, where I'm originally from. He's a good friend of mine. I met him at a church, and he's been my mentor for a long time now. Please welcome from the Evangelical Network, Todd Farrell.
Good afternoon. Can you all hear me? I know it's a little bit quiet. My name is Todd Farrell. I am the president of an organization called the Evangelical Network. And we are a network of churches, ministries, and Christians. We're evangelical Christians, and I would tend to say that when some of you hear the word evangelical in this room, things come to mind such as hateful, bigoted, narrow-minded. Anybody agree with that? Okay, I see a few hands. Those are not my words. Those are the words of the research group called the Barna Group. The Barna Group is a conservative Christian think tank. They interviewed a group of 18 to 28-year-olds, folks about your age, and asked them some questions. And that is what 18 to 28-year-olds think of when they think of evangelicals. They think of them as being bigoted and narrow-minded. But the group that I represent aren't your typical evangelicals. We're evangelical because we believe that God's word is true and we believe that it's good news. We also believe that it's good news for gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender people just as much as it is for straight people. You see, the Bible does not condemn you because you are gay, in spite of what others might say. For those of you that sit here and experience same-sex attractions or gender identity questions, I want you to know that when others around you don't see inside you, or maybe they don't feel what you feel, God does. And God gets you. And you're not a mistake. Your orientation is not a choice. Now, I'm not ignorant to the fact that there might be some people sitting in this room, and I hope that they are. I invite them, who might not necessarily agree with me. We don't have to agree on everything, but I would challenge those of you in the room that might be questioning some of the things that I've already started to say. I would invite you to take the time to stop and listen to the stories of people who are gay, lesbian, bisexual, or transgender. Just hear what their experiences have been, just as you started to hear some of the stories already today. Do that before you heap your judgment against them. I've been working and ministering to the LGBT community for over 20 years now. It's hard to believe. This gray is well premature, I guarantee you. But I've been very saddened as I have seen, as you heard the tragic story of what Phil described. I have seen so many families that have tossed their gay children to the curb. I have witnessed pastors physically pushing gay people out of the church or standing up in a church service and publicly humiliating someone for being gay. I ask this question, will we ever learn? Have any of us not done our research and looked at the studies to show that these tactics that have been done to marginalize people, they do not work? Those things were wrong then, and they're wrong now. But I'm here to also share something else with you. And I'm going to take off my jacket because I see that I'm a little overdressed for this occasion. And I want to talk to you a little bit about what is coming up, what's in store. You know, this room should be filled today with people who agree and people who disagree. Because we know that they're outside the doors of this room already. I meet regularly with mainline Christian evangelical churches and pastors. Why? Because pastors know that the future of the church is at risk. Young people, 18 to 28, are not going to church anymore like they used to. Emerging from all this rhetoric and noise is a new kind of evangelical pastor and a new evangelical kind of church. there is a shift that is starting to take place. And there is a phrase that I like to say, and that is, shift happens. And there is a shift, believe it or not, while it might be difficult to see as you look around the churches in your communities, or maybe as you watch the news. Believe it or not, there is a shift. There are pastors behind closed doors that are starting to have these conversations. The day has come in which there is a shift that's taking place in the church. And your generation is helping to cause that. You see, your generation is not willing to check your brain at the door anymore and just hear what Pastor so-and-so has to say and go back out into the community and regurgitate that. The days of sitting in the pews, hearing the news, and paying your dues is over. You all have questions, and pastors are real uncomfortable by you when you go to them and say, but I don't get it because I have gay friends who love God, want to have a relationship with God. They're nothing like how you describe them, and Pastor so-and-so doesn't know how to deal with that. The next generation, your generation, is looking for results. You are looking for the church to be the church instead of stop talking about being the church. Believe it or not, you are a gift to the church. The church needs you. And I would encourage you not to shy away. In spite of the things that they say, the things that they do, they need your presence there to help them to get to the next place. Part of our purpose of being here today is to talk about HJR 6, a bill that is attempting to drive nails into an already sealed heterosexual marriage tomb. Well, as you can imagine, as an evangelical Christian, I don't worry too much about nails and tombs. I say that because while the government and the church may attempt to hold LGBT people down, they simply cannot, and that day of resurrection or freedom is going to happen. Don't be discouraged by a piece of legislation. I'm from California. I get legislation. We have been at the doorsteps of the federal court on the opening day of the trial of Prop 8 to stand there as evangelical Christians and to say, this is not right. I get the struggle, and it's important for you to be part of that. In preparing for today, I went online and I looked at the requirements for marriage in the state of Indiana, and I found this very interesting. There's a list of things that are excluded, those that are excluded. However, I found it a little bit ironic that the state does make one exception, allowing you to marry your old first cousin. Did you know that? You can marry your first cousin in the state of Indiana as long as you both are over the age of 65. Go figure. Obviously, there was a legislator who wanted that and pushed that through.
All right.
Let me speak a moment about marriage. Marriage is something that should be entered into seriously. Whether you're gay or straight, it's something to take serious. If we were to look around today, we see 50% of marriages ending in divorce. So it's not like the fat cats up on Capitol Hill are to be put on any pedestal when you look at the folks that are passing these pieces of legislation. We see the same thing in the church with the divorce rate. But in our society, we really have a disconnect about marriage. The church sees it as a religious matter, but actually, it is a legal matter. And I want to talk about that just for a moment. Legally, we're talking about legal. Legally, marriage is going down to the clerk's office and getting a marriage license. That's it. It doesn't require you to have a church ceremony. It doesn't require religion to be any part of it. Legal marriage. You could go to any church in this town. You could walk down the aisle. You could say your vows. You could kiss your spouse. And you would not be legally married without that certificate from the clerk's office. The church nor religion makes you married. Legally, what makes you married is that marriage certificate, that license. And because of this, I believe that the church is overstepping its bounds by acting that it's any more than what it is. Now, for my conservative friends, I would also tend to say this. There is also something called biblical marriage. Biblical marriage is neither the license nor is it the religious ceremony. Biblical marriage is a covenant between two people. It is a solemn promise and an agreement. If you read the Bible and you look at marriage, people didn't have a marriage license. They didn't always have religious ceremonies. And spoiler alert, for decades, LGBT people have not been afforded the right to legally marry one another, but have been making solemn promises and agreements to one another. I might argue with you that their covenants are actually probably more godly marriages than the marriages that are from the courthouse or maybe in some of our churches. Now, some might say, well, let's use this as fodder to support HJR 6. No, I'm not supporting HJR 6. And to be honest with you, having gone through everything that I've been through in California, I would say it will be tossed out. Whether it passes or not, your existing laws, as well as this, will be tossed out. And I really believe there's more to this whole HJR 6 than what it is, because I see this around the country. It is just a wedge from keeping people from living together in community. It's just a tool to try to keep a wedge between us and living together in community. It creates an us versus them philosophy. Haven't we seen that enough in our country? We have seen that with the Native Americans and our pilgrims and our government. We have seen that with the slaves and the free. We have seen that with African Americans and Caucasians. We have seen that with men and women in the workplace. We've seen it over and over again. This whole us-them thing. When are we going to learn from our past and our history? You may not see this as a civil rights issue, but all of these have been civil rights issues. Our Constitution of the United States, the first thing it says is, we the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. But because the guys that wrote the Constitution at the beginning didn't get it right the first time, we later got the 14th Amendment, which created civil rights. And in Section 1 of that, it reads, all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges, or immunities of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property. As I stated before, I believe that what you already have on the books in this state is illegal, and there is an appeals court that is going to sort all of this out. However, HJR 6 is not yet a law. And if we allow this bill to move forward by voting for it and by doing nothing, we are endorsing discrimination in the state of Indiana. And as you do that, or as you consider that, consider the bloodshed of discrimination our country has already endured. And ask yourself, do we have to endure more? I've come a long way. I've come from San Francisco. I've come over 2,000 miles. I am not paid to be here. I'm here because I'm passionate about this. We are in this world together. We are brothers and sisters, united by our commonality as citizens of the greatest nation in the world, the United States of America. No one here is seeking special rights. We are seeking equal rights. This rally is an equality rally. It is not a special rights rally. We are seeking equal rights, and we are seeking equal protection under the law. And never in our history of our country have we seen constitutions changed to exclude people. So I leave you with this. You have a choice today. Before you walk through the doors of this room, I want you to consider this. I want you to consider your role in all of this. Will you be passive, staying on the sidelines, staying in your comfort zone? Because that's easier. We all probably have an easy chair at home that fits our butt just fine. Will we just stay in that comfort zone and be complacent? Or will we be risk takers like some of these evangelical pastors that are sitting down and starting to have conversations and are starting to consider, maybe I was wrong? Will we be risk takers? Would you be willing to sit down and to talk with someone who might not agree with you? We need more conversation. I was looking over the documents earlier before this started, a fair talk. And by the way, I look forward to you. Update your map. California has gay marriage, and I blackened mine in.
We had a whole bunch printed, we're just getting rid of it.
Not a problem. But you know what? They list in here, action. There is no purpose for this rally if we leave here just coming up and listening to some speeches and don't do anything about it. Pick up these brochures, go in and take a look at some of these things. Talk to your friends and families. Talk to your representatives. I have been to Capitol Hill on more than one occasion in Washington, D.C. I will tell you, they will listen. They want to hear from you. And especially, I would tell you, if you are a person of faith, it is important for you to talk about the fact that you are a person of faith and that you support equality. Will you be willing to talk with people that don't look like, think like, vote like, pray like you? That is the question you're being asked today. Consider that before you leave the room today. And I hope that together we can bring about a positive change for the state of Indiana. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Todd. Our next special guest is from Indianapolis, Indiana. He's actually my pastor from Bridges of Hope, and he's also the presiding bishop for the Global Alliance of Affirming Apostolic Pentecostal. Please welcome Bishop Robert Stamper.
How is everybody doing? How is everybody doing? Are you excited to be here tonight?
Yes.
Are you excited to be here tonight? Now, y'all have to remember, I'm a pastor of a Pentecostal church, and I always get a real good amen. So until we're truly excited and passionate about something, it's only then will we truly make a difference. And if I would ask you, each and every person in here, we would probably have a different definition of what equality means. What does it look like? Because in all reality, it only affects us, is what we think, because we're truly kind of selfish sometimes. If it doesn't affect us, we want to not even deal with it. And imagine, if you will, that if I ask you the question of who truly believes in equality, I think everyone would raise their hand. I think that by you being here this evening, you're showing that you're willing to come together and at least have dialogue. But as a Pentecostal pastor who has a wonderful partner who happens to be the same gender as myself, I know what it's like to cross some boundaries. Because, see, I grew up very old school Pentecostal. Women were in bondage, not allowed to cut their hair. They wore dresses all the time. But if I would also ask the same question, and our atmosphere and our upbringing can play havoc on a lot of us. It defines who we are, and even while I may not agree with everything that I was taught being brought up, I'm thankful for the way that I was brought up, because I truly have a very strong faith in God. And what concerns me about the LGBTQ community sometimes is that because of the way that the church has treated us, we want to then believe, number one, that there is no God, or that God thinks that we're inferior. And so first and foremost, as a bishop in God's church, let me apologize to each and every person here on behalf of Jesus Christ and say, I'm truly sorry for the way the church has treated you. Because the God that I serve is love.
Yes, sir.
He loves you right where you are.
That's right.
And the Bible does say, we so shy away from scriptures because we don't understand it. But my Bible tells me that Jesus said, let whosoever will come
Yes.
and drink from the fountain of life freely.
All right.
That's you, right where you are. Gay, straight, bisexual, transgender, questioning, any other letters that you want to add on to that. God is love. And what my concern is, and I was excited to be here tonight, is that if I would ask you, as people of equality or wanting equality, if you knew that there was a KKK rally, would you stand up for their African American brothers and sisters and go and protest against that KKK rally? Would you? Yeah. So let me ask the question. If Westboro Baptist Church was coming to picket this campus against this rally tonight, would you be a little bit more excited to make sure that your enthusiasm would be greater than their enthusiasm?
Yeah.
And isn't some of our biggest opponents, especially in the state of Indiana, the church that fights against equal rights for all people? So my question becomes this: why are we shying away from going to church? You can make a difference. Because what we don't realize is this. There was a point in a time that I sat in a Pentecostal church. knowing that I love Jesus. And I'm not shying away from that because he is my all in all.
Yes, sir.
But yet I had this secret that I was in love with the organ player and she didn't have a bun, it was a he. And feeling alone. And feeling like I could turn to no one with my secret. We're in a new age. Today is a new day.
Yes.
Imagine, if you will, if you would at least attend churches if you're not attending them somewhere. Not to cause trouble, but to find your own spiritual journey, number one. But to make a difference in the hearts and the lives of somebody that may be out there that just needs someone to listen to. If we don't have gay and lesbian people in the military who are willing to stand up and say, hey, I can work harder than you. I can achieve more medals than you. We need role models in these all walks of life. But we have forgotten the church. So if you truly want to make a huge difference and a huge impact, I think that we have forgotten that we have shied away from the church. Where if we would begin to infiltrate, if you will, and not cause a ruckus, but just let people see you for who you really are. Because I don't say, yes, I'm a presiding gay bishop. I pastor an amazing church in Indianapolis, Indiana. We are truly Pentecostal.
Yes.
We might scare some of you if you came. We speak in tongues and we run around the church. We get excited.
Yes, sir.
But the majority of my congregation is gay or bisexual. But you know what I tell them? We are not a gay church.
No, sir.
We are an affirming church, an affirming congregation that is open to all people.
That's right, Bishop.
Because me being gay only is a small portion of my life.
That's right.
I would like to think I'm more Christian than I am gay. I would like to think that I am more humble and have a heart and a concern for people. And until you sit behind my desk or answer my cell phone for a week, when you have that 13-year-old boy calls you that says, I'm going to kill myself because I'm going to go to hell anyways, when will the madness stop? When will it stop? And change is not always quick, and change is not always easy. But change can happen. I am 46 years old. My parents are evangelicals. And they are narrow-minded. And it has taken me 46 years, and they're not real thrilled that I say that I have a husband. But yet, after watching us, knowing that we're normal, we're not always going to the club, just every now and then. Some of you will get that later. But our life, we work hard. We pay taxes. We landscape and have the best looking yard in the city. We're effective people in our community and our society. And my mother and my father, who love Jesus with all their heart, but they're ignorant and only know what they have been taught, are from a very small town called Huntington, Indiana, the city of Dan Quayle, if that tells you anything. 46 years, my mother, when I founded our church, said I was an abomination and leading people to hell. But yet I knew that God had placed a call on my life. And I knew that I could not run from that call, because when my family turned their back on me, my God was there.
Yes, sir.
When friends said, I can't be your friend anymore, Jesus was still there for me.
That's right.
And after showing almost 2 years that my partner was not going anywhere, and sometimes you must take a stand. Last year at Thanksgiving, we chose not to go to my parents' house because my mother didn't want my partner there. And I said, that's fine, have your turkey by yourself. We will go to his family's because they accept us. My partner's grandmother, 86 years old, walked into my dining room, patted me on the cheek and said, God has answered my prayers by sending you into my grandson's life.
All right.
So don't tell me change can't happen.
Yes.
August, our church held a conference, a national conference for all of our ministers. And my mother kept saying that she was going to come. Now, mind you, I was an abomination in leading people to hell. And I said, I'll believe it when I see it. And I welcomed my mother and said, I'm not trying to get you to come to church so that I can change your idea. I don't want you to necessarily agree with me. I just want you to come to church and then you can then decide whether God is in our midst or not. Because I knew if she would just get there, the Spirit would do the rest.
Amen.
My mother came. I was installed as the presiding bishop at that conference. And her and my father came. My mother attended a class on homosexuality in the Bible. What does it really say? What does it really talk about? Don't be afraid of God. Don't be afraid of the church. Now, my mother still is not. She said, now, I'm just telling you, I just still don't understand this. And my question to her was, Mother, was God in the house? Because I saw the tears begin to come down her face. She knew the Spirit was there, and if we live productive lives in front of all men, we can make a difference. But do not forget the church, because I'm here to tell you, as the verse was when we very first started, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son,
All right.
that whosoever,
Whosoever.
didn't say white, didn't say black, didn't say Republican male who makes $75,000 who's in Congress. He said whosoever. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. God loves you. Never doubt that. Don't run away from the church because of the way the church has treated you. Run toward the church and truly make a difference. Because I will promise you this, if you make the difference in one person's life, everything that you have ever accomplished will be crowned in glory by that one difference. When you can come and have a 13, 14, 15-year-old that comes to you and says, I didn't kill myself. And until you preach a funeral of someone who has committed suicide, why? Because of their sexuality. And I'm telling you, the most opposition that we face comes from the church, comes from religious values. So until we can infiltrate that and make a real difference, we're missing part of this action. So I'm excited to be here tonight. I'm excited that you all took time out of your day. But remember, National Coming Out Day should not just be one day a year. 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, 365 hours or days in a year, you can make a difference in the hearts and minds of somebody. Be proud of who you are.
That's right.
I said be proud of who you are.
That's right. That's right.
Be proud of who you are. I thought that gay used to mean happy, right? I can tell you that I'm a proud gay man
All right, Pastor.
who has a loving husband,
Yes, sir.
and I'm proud to be a bishop in God's church
Say that.
and love Jesus with all of my heart.
All right now.
And I know that I know that I know
Come on.
that he loves me.
Show us.
God bless all of you. Thanks for having me.